Are you ready to increase your retention and revenue and convert website traffic to clients? Then you're ready for Maya. Maya is a marketing and client recruitment software. Maya creates better business relationships by pairing the right clients with the right beauty professionals. How do we do it? A matchmaker. Your brand will have its own unique matchmaking survey. By pairing people based on their skill set, budget, personality, and lifestyle preferences, Maya creates lasting relationships that keep both sides coming back for more. You don't get a second chance to make a first impression. Pair the right clients with the right beauty pros the first time. Visit joinmaya.com to get started. Have you ever gone on a mission trip? We want to share an opportunity to serve the global beauty industry through the Global Stylist Scholarship. Mandy Pulse is the founder of the Global Stylist Scholarship. She takes groups of beauty professionals to various countries and continents to help train people who would otherwise not have access to learn how to cut hair. You don't have to be an educator, you don't have to be a seasoned pro. The Global Stylist Scholarship Organization has lead trainers who guide all volunteers on how to help others. This is a life-changing experience. You can apply to participate in 2025. Go to the link in our show notes to contact Mandy today.
Thank you for joining me. This is Katie Whitledge with the Beyond the Technique podcast. Today we're talking about hiring experienced stylists. If you are a team-based salon or commission salon, this episode is for you. I have first-time guest Mandy McCullough here. I've been waiting to get this woman on this show. I can't wait for you to meet Mandy. Let me just tell you a little bit about her. She is a salon owner and a salon industry coach and trainer. She owns Fix Salon. They're celebrating 15 years in business. They're voted best salon in Seattle. They're recognized as the top national salon by Pop Sugar. She has been a hairstylist for 26 years. She's an educator for Redken. She specializes in train the trainer events, developing curriculum for training and developing new Redken artists. How cool is that? She's also an ambassador and education content creator for Sam Vila and a mentor and facilitator for HPSA, the High Performance Salon Academy, which is where Mandy and I met for the first time. And I have been following her journey ever since. She's so awesome and what a wonderful educator. I can't wait for our conversation. So without further ado, help me welcome Mandy McCullough. Welcome to Beyond the Technique.
Hey, thank you, Katie. Thank you so much for having me today. We were just chatting a little bit. It's getting so fun to get to know each other a little bit better. And I'm super excited that you asked me to be here. So I appreciate it.
The pleasure is mine. And you have just had an awesome career in this industry. I'm curious for you, Mandy, if we go back to the beginning, what was it that got you into the beauty industry to begin with?
Oh, that's a great question, Katie. So I'll tell you, I had gone to college, and I think sometimes, I think a lot of hairstylists share this story. College wasn't a great fit, and I dropped out, and I went and started working at a big resort. It was in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and it was in the mid '90s. So that was about the time that day spas were becoming really popular. They opened a day spa. I went in there and worked as a front desk supervisor. The hairstylists are always having a really great time. I still wasn't sure if that was the career for me. I was a former dance instructor, so I knew I loved teaching. And one of the hairstylists was a former Redken educator. And so as I was asking, I don't know if this is what I should do, they actually told me that not only did they think that would be a fun career for me, but also there's this other piece where you can go work for different manufacturers as an educator and travel. So I literally went to school to become a cosmetologist, but specifically to become an educator in the industry. And so I did that and started working for Redken in about 2002, I think. When you say those numbers, it starts sounding like a really long time. But, no looking back, I am really grateful for my journey, and being a salon owner and working with Redken has been a great partnership in my career.
Well, you have clearly leadership skills, and to want to be on the leadership side of things right from the jump is really cool. When beginning your journey as a salon owner specifically, what came harder than you actually thought it would have?
Oh, well, I mean, again, I think I'll speak for a lot of hairstylists. We're passionate about what we do and we love what we do. I didn't have a business background. So learning the business side of it, learning how to read a profit and loss, learning about budgets, like hiring people and all of the things that come along with that. And when you open a small business, you are HR, you are management, you are culture control, you are the cheerleader, you are the disciplinarian. So wearing all those hats, that was, the hardest thing to have to navigate and learn. But I love taking on a challenge. So I'm always trying to, expand and grow my skill set.
And being behind the chair even to this day, correct?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I love my clients. And I have clients who've seen me for over 20 years. And so, yeah, it's one of the things about my job that I still really love.
I love that. And so you really are balancing all these things, but you're just like so creative. So I think it's really neat that you are still behind the chair and you bring something special then to kind of just it makes you innovative for when you're educating and you're on stage. I know that you've been around some pretty incredible industry leaders, but who's really made the biggest impact on your life and your career when it comes to being a hairdresser?
Uh, there's a couple of people, but one, I always like to come back and give credit to a hairstylist named Steve Lauderette. He was the first person who hired me when I came out of cosmetology school. I had known him prior to school. He also just introduced me to the value of continuing education. So even as I was going to cosmetology school, he would call me out of the blue and say, like, hey, I signed you up for this Redken class at the store. Go take it this Friday. And his approach to doing hair was about just having fun, and he just really enjoyed it. And to this day, he's still doing hair. And so he was really such a big, just somebody who I really appreciated that got me involved in it. But then otherwise, just people throughout my journey, Sam Villa, of course, I've worked with him many times and I just love how he brings to the information to the industry. Chris Barron. There's so many people that I've crossed paths with. And now as I'm growing and developing, I'll say, Katie, most recently, being a part of High Performance Salon Academy as a mentor, but also the salon owners that are part of that community, they are all just forces to be reckoned with. So I think that's what's so cool about being a hairstylist is our journey evolves and we continue to hopefully have new people in front of us all the time that are pushing us to be the best version of ourselves.
Mm, yep. It's so important to have that community around you.
Yeah.
I'm always so curious when you launch, innovative ideas and new techniques. Like, what's your creative process? How do you tap into creating a concept or a new technique or look that will be out for people to adopt and add to their practice behind the chair?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, first of all, talking for trends and techniques behind the chair, I do have the unique position in working for Redken. So it's literally my job to identify trends and what the needs are. And what we have to recognize is there's editorial far reaching trends, like things that are just launching, and then there's things we've been living in. So my job is to identify trends and then to decide how do we make them fit different parts of the population or of our clientele so it fits to everybody. So when we're trying to identify those techniques, I'll just say, you have to stay on the pulse of what's happening. So making sure that I'm staying in tune with social media about what's happening, looking at what's popular in pop culture, right? And then I also just think like just watching other education formats and seeing like what's really trending right now. So, for example, of course, we just had Taylor Swift doing the Eras tour, but also Sabrina Carpenter was a big part of that. And so Sabrina Carpenter has been a big trend as far as long haircuts go. So one, we identify like, okay, so what are people wanting right now? They want Sabrina Carpenter. What is it special about her look that people are going for? And it's a lot of it is like her fringe and her style and her blowout. So then how do we break that down into digestible steps so that any stylist can take that on and understand it and create something for their client and feel successful with it?
It's so cool. That was like me being selfish and wanting to know your like process because I think it's just so neat. But diving into our topic, it is on the minds of so many salon owners right now to hire somebody with experience specifically. Why do you think that is versus kind of looking for the typical fresh out of beauty school. What do you think what that's about?
Yeah. I, as working for Redken, I travel across the country and I get to be in hundreds of salons throughout the year and teaching. And so I get to hear what are the needs and what's happening in the salons right now. In commission team-based salons, we're having a pretty good time recruiting from cosmetology school because a lot of students coming out of cosmetology school see the benefit of partnering with a commission salon structure to help them grow. What is challenging is to find those more experienced stylists. Most commission salons right now are really junior talent heavy, and they are lacking in high experienced people when they have clients who are looking for that need. But we really have to understand the mindset and what those stylists find valuable so that we can talk to them and maybe make them look twice and consider coming back into commission salons again. So that's something we've been working on.
In the back of my head, I thought, well, is it because there's less effort on onboarding and training? But maybe that's not the case. It sounds like it's, like you said, creating that team dynamic where there's more experienced stylists. We'll speak to that. We'll speak to what it takes for onboarding because you have a really special approach that I can't wait for people to hear. But tell us, what are we missing here? Or like, what do we need to add or do to really attract? And when you say experienced stylist, they very well could be coming from another salon or potentially renting. What are your thoughts on that?
We have seen a big shift over the last 5 years of stylists they come and they join a team-based salon. They get a certain amount of education and then they're empowered with that information and they want to move out and go open their own suite. So that's really the biggest shift that we saw happen, especially coming out of COVID. But what we need to do is really make sure that we're trying to understand why they did this and what are their pain points right now and what can we do to maybe give them some support and entice them to want to come back. This is a conversation we have a lot in High Performance Salon Academy, so I'm going to reference them a lot because it's a collective that we get this information. But the number one thing that stylists choose why they leave is because they want to decorate their own suite.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah, I mean, I just think about that for a minute. And I just think, there was probably a point in my career, maybe in midpoint of my career, where I was like, oh, that sounds so cool and I'm going to use my quotation marks, like open my own salon, right? It's a small space. I get to decorate it however I want. I get to give it a name that I want. I get to create my vibe and play my music. And so that's the number one reason why people are interested in leaving traditional salon culture. But then on top of that, they just want flexibility of schedule. And I think they just want to have more of a work-life balance. And for me as a salon owner, it was really hard for me to let go of some of what my beliefs were about having stylists in my salon, especially in relation to schedule. If you're building, you have to work evenings and weekends, and you have to be established before you get to start working to middays. So in really starting to have a better understanding in why they're leaving and what they're finding value in, it's helping me and the salon owners I work with to be able to identify what things we could maybe put in front of them to make them think about coming back.
That's so interesting. So now we look at how to solve the problem. So when it comes to the flexibility desire, how have you either approached this more recently or anything you've changed or done differently to help attract experienced stylists?
What we've just done in the last month, and I know some other salon owners I've been working with, they've been doing this as well, is we're now doing what are called lifestyle schedules. And what that means is I just told my entire team, I said, at our next one-on-one, which is our personal development meetings, please bring your dream schedule. And for us, full-time is 32 hours a week. So you could choose to work 32 hours a week, 36 hours a week, 40 hours a week, but what's your dream pie in the sky schedule? And let's see how close we can come to making that happen for you. If you had told me that that's what I should do a year ago as a salon owner, I would have been, there is no way. I mean, that it kills like how late should we be open? We're supposed to be open till 9. We're supposed to open at 9 in the morning. So this really was challenging a belief system. But the cool thing, and I encourage other salon owners to really consider this if you haven't done it yet, when my stylists brought their schedules, they were all super realistic. I still
Mm.
have stylists who wanted to work through the weekends. I still had some stylists who wanted to work in evenings. I will say we're not staying open quite as late as we used to. Hasn't necessarily changed our client count. So some of my belief system, I think, was holding me back. And now our stylists are happier because we're accommodating these new lifestyle schedules for them. And my business is still working. So it's a win-win.
That's a huge win. Yeah, I think that's awesome. I love the lifestyle schedules approach. What else do you think needs to be addressed when it comes to hiring experienced stylists?
There's four specific points. So this schedule flexibility is one of them.
Hmm.
The second one is education. One thing that we know that these stylists who are out in their own suites, they're missing and they want is continuing education. And I know everyone who owns a commissioned salon is probably providing some sort of great continuing education, but we have to curate it so it meets the needs of the individual, not the needs of the entire team. So, what we've done this year is we partnered with Redken for our education development. And rather than having what we would typically do is have at least one hands on class in the salon for the entire team every quarter. We're not doing that anymore. We now are setting up different education experiences for our senior stylist, for our mid level stylist, and then our junior stylist have their own education formats. We're asking them what they want, what kind of classes they want to have. We're looking at local area classes and we're more cherry picking what's right for the individual. So now we can say that it's curated education based on that stylist individual needs rather than just telling them they have to just come to every class that we hold in the salon.
Okay, I'm going to literally take this idea. I mean, we kind of have done something similar where if you're a level 1 or 2, you have to go to these trainings. And then we have our team wide. But I love how you actually break it into those 3 tiers. I think that is so smart, and just spot on because you're right. These individuals want things to be more personalized. And how often do you let people kind of bow out of education if they feel like, hey, for example, oh, I don't really do a lot of bridal updos. Maybe this class wouldn't be necessarily for me. Plus, I'd have to buy a mannequin potentially for it. Are we called to be a little more flexible with that? What are your thoughts on that?
Flexibility is the key in all of this scenario. We really have to be way more open minded, and it has to be a two-way conversation with the stylist. We cannot live in a role of dictating anymore. So, what we do, I'm going to just say, like, for example, rather than so we are with Redken, so we earn loyalty points through Redken. I'm sure everybody has their companies that they earn loyalty points through. What we would typically do is take all of our points and bring in incredible educators into the salon. And because they're incredible, they're a high point valuation. Now, what we can do is we're buying individual tickets to hands-on class events outside of the salon. And I'm approaching the stylist saying, like, hey, here's an opportunity. If you'd like to, this would count towards one of your education credits in the company. If you want, we'll send you to this. And it's a hands-on class with a really awesome educator. So most
Wow.
likely they're saying yes. What we do for level jumps is we say every level of stylist has a certain number of education credits they have to acquire in order to get to their jump. Now, if they default out of these optional experiences, what I've been doing this year is I come in on Tuesday afternoons and we just have what's called an open hair jam. Any stylist can come, bring in a mannequin head or a model, just tell me what that individual wants to work on for the day, and I'll just coach them through it. It's been a really good culture and team building experience for us. It's just gotten me a little bit closer with understanding what the needs of my stylist are. So then if a stylist decides that they don't want to go to that ticketed event, they can still get their education hours through attending those events on Tuesdays with me.
Okay, everybody listening is like, that salon is so cool what they're doing. I love that you make that a requirement or just like um something to achieve, like a way to earn the next level is to accomplish this many educational experiences. I think that's brilliant, Mandy. What else do we need to be doing or be really thinking about if we want to hire experienced stylists?
So we have flexible schedule, we have education. The next one is going to be community and mentorship. When stylists have left commission salons, they lost that environment of somebody who checks in with them and helps them develop and meet their goals. So
Mm.
we really want to get back in front of these stylists again and remind them of the personal development that we can offer them. And I say personal development because that's the most important. Professional development is one part of it, but we have to offer personal development too. A lot of times I say, being a salon owner, I don't just help to grow technical skills, but I'm really a life coach. And I know there's a lot of you right now who are probably nodding your head with me, knowing that life coach is one of the things that we have to do now with our stylist. What we have to do first is ask what's personally important to them and what are their lifestyle goals. Then we come back and we talk about how they're going to hit professional milestones to get them to those personal lifestyle achievements they want to make happen.
What does your cadence look like for that? Or how do you stay consistent? Because I can see, for many owners, the desire in their heart to do these things. But like you said at the beginning, we're wearing so many hats. So how do you make sure that you don't kind of drop the ball on that initiative?
Uh, yes, and you want to make sure there is consistency because stylists will sniff it out if you don't have consistency, right? You have to be sure you're walking the walk in addition to talking the talk. We have two big team events a year. In January, we always have our kickoff event for the year. Part of this is establishing goals, going back and reviewing the previous year. What were the wins? What do you want to have happen this year? This year, we actually did a vision board exercise with them. I try to do something where they post it around the break room. So then I am continually reminded of what their goals are and I can check in with them. Then we have personal development meetings with every team member once a month so we can come back and review. How are you doing? What support do you need? Give them little nudges of encouragement. Make sure to celebrate any movement they've made towards those goals. And then our second big team building event is mid-year, because then we're going to come back and say, how are your goals? Are they still what you want them to be? Reestablish, anchor them in, celebrate their growth, and then give them that encouragement to get through the second half of the year. So those are kind of our bold points of how we stay consistent with it.
Amazing. All right. What else should we be doing to hire experienced stylists?
So this is the last point that we're working with as we're marketing and advertising to this demographic. The biggest thing is we're talking about how we will help you build your dream clientele. Think about the stylist who's working independently right now. They typically say they're by appointment only. They have a hard time building new clients. They're sometimes fearful of online booking to new people because it is ultimately a blind date. That's really intimidating when you work by yourself. So we say that we will help you build your dream clientele because we are going to screen clients and make sure they are a fit for you. And so your client knows something about you before they sit in the chair. So we're minimizing how much you have to introduce yourself at the beginning of an appointment. And of course, Katie, we have recently implemented Maya, which has been such an incredible way to help make sure that we're having more successful client retention. And our stylists, honestly, love it because the client has to fill out a questionnaire. They send in pictures of where they are now, what kind of hair they want to have. All of this information immediately drops over. We use Forest as our salon software, so that immediately drops. So the stylist is well prepared for that client to walk through the door. They know something about the client as well. We're seeing much higher client retention, but also we're increasing the confidence of the stylist to know that they're going to have a more successful result and they're going to build a long-term relationship with this client. That's a tougher thing to have happen when you're working in a solo salon experience.
100%. And I promise that I did not pay for this
No,
shout out.
totally not.
But it really is so empowering. And you can't really, who can promise that, right? So I love, thank you for trusting us and coming on board and utilizing Maya. I think that's amazing. And what a gift to your team. You said
Well, and I
something. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, like it's really just about we have to find the way to market it to them so they see the value in it, right? Because we can say like we do consultations or we screen, but we have to say how. You have to explain to them what are the steps that makes that different than what they've experienced before.
I was literally just going to bring that up. I was going to say, behind the scenes, we spoke about the fact that we need to speak about these things.
Mhm.
Marketing all of these points that your salon does that's unique is the missing piece of the pie, because most people listening are like, hey, at the end of the day, we kind of do a version of that. That sounds cool. I'm going to implement what you just brought up to make it even better. But we're doing some similar things. Well, the issue is we're not talking about it. We're not marketing it. We're not communicating that anywhere. So, what are the ways that you get the word out about Fix Salon being set apart and a great option and a better choice?
One thing that we just kicked off last week actually is it's called Salon Culture 2.0, and it's part of our social media marketing. So if anybody wants to see it, you can go to fixsalonseattle.com, or sorry, Fix Salon Seattle on Instagram, and check out our feed. Our feed grid, we have a very formatted grid. And so we have 9 blocks, and there's a pattern for each one of those 9 blocks that we post. And it takes a couple weeks to get those into our feed.
Mhm.
But in one of those 9 blocks, we're going to start posting a Salon Culture 2.0. And it's going to be one point, one fact, one point of difference about how we're changing the commission salon culture right now. So that's the number one way. And then as we come into cosmetology schools, as we meet new clients, we are no longer saying we are hiring. We are saying we are changing and breaking the mold of a commission salon structure. If you would like to learn more, let us know. We have to change the message and we have to change the conversation. Every stylist out there knows that every salon is hiring. So
Mhm.
what do you do that makes you different so they want to listen and lean in a little bit more and find out what you're doing differently?
I love that. What a great initiative, the 2.0. By the way, I will put Mandy Salon's Instagram in our show notes. I will send you, or have in the show notes, the link to go check out their Instagram and also their website so you can see all of that information. So, kind of pivoting a little, I love these points. I think it's going to be so helpful for everybody listening. Are there any other major goals that you have for Fix Salon in 2024?
Katie, I think that we're just getting to that place where I've had to let go of my old school salon owner mentality. And I really feel like I'm embracing and understanding better how to build culture with a new generation of stylists. And for me, the biggest thing is, I already said it once, but I'll just say it again. It has to be a two-way conversation. Your team wants to be a part of decision making. They want to be a part of how the company grows. And you have to understand how to develop those conversations for them so they will buy into your company and want to stay with you when they are helping you make the decisions.
So important. Well, the sky is the limit, and I know that you just continue to push forward and surrounding yourself with the HPSA community in addition to your Redkin community is just exceptional. So I'm thankful that we've gotten to know each other a little bit better today, Mandy. So I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Katie. It has been great.
Well, before we're done, let me just ask you one more question.
Yeah.
You had any, final words of wisdom for owners who really have this desire to grow their team specifically with more experienced stylists? What would be like the one thing that you would want them to leave with today?
Yeah, I think that's really powerful. Salon owners, I want to make sure that you have a community of support.
Mm.
And there's different companies. I happen to be a part of High Performance Salon Academy. I love them. They are incredible. There's other organizations out there too. You have to find the one that's a fit for you. But in my community, I am a part of the most powerful, strongest salon owners I have ever met. Now, this does not mean we do not have challenges and we don't have to work through some tough stuff, but we do it together and we've learned how to be really vulnerable together to grow. But if you don't have your community, you feel like you're on an island by yourself. And when hard stuff happens, you feel utterly alone and it can be gutting. Community is so important in being a salon owner. So if you don't have a community, I'm going to plead for you, please go find one. And if you have one, just be sure it is a community of people who build you up and support you, and they aren't just complaining all the time and using you as a sounding board.
Mm, so good. And I love that you brought that up. It's like the third point of our conversation being about mentorship and community, and owners need that too.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again, Mandy. I really appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you all for joining us here week after week at Beyond the Technique. If you love this podcast platform, we would appreciate if you take just a moment to leave us a positive review wherever you're listening so that more people like yourself will discover Beyond the Technique, where we're here to change the way that you are supported in your business. Until next time, everybody, have an awesome day and stay strong.